This guy's around celebrities all the time. He's Don Mattingly, the Dodgers manager. Last time you were speechless with a celebrity going to a game. When was that, Donnie?
Last time I was speechless?
Yeah, when you met a celebrity where you're like, oh, man, is that such and such?
That could have been you, Dan.
Yeah, well, okay.
I mean, possibly. I mean, I was still young then.
Yeah, I know that. But now, do you see celebrities in your everyday life or at the ball game?
Well, at the ballpark a lot. It seems like they do a pretty good job of somebody throwing out the first pitch or this or that. So there's someone in there a lot. I don't get that excited about it, honestly, but every once in a while there's somebody. With Magic, it was kind of like that. Pat Riley, Phil Jackson. The people that I've kind of watched over the years and admired. When I had a chance to meet them, it was very nice.
I noticed this last night with the Yankees-Red Sox, and let me just make it a little bit broader here, with pitchers having something on their hand or glove, pine tar. How common is it, and is it an unwritten rule where it's not brought to the attention of the umpire?
No, it's pretty common that there's something. That at that level right there, what I seen last night on his hand,
yeah,
that's not common. Where it's tucked somewhere and there's a little touch or something like that, but at that level, that's not common right there. And I think if you've seen it, you would have to say something about that.
Why didn't John Farrell say something unless he knew that his pitchers do the same thing and Joe Girardi's going to call them on it?
I think that's the main. That probably is more than anything. That's it. That that your own guy uses something. Most guys have a little. They use something just to get grip. I don't think they're getting it to make the ball do anything funny. Most guys are using it in cold weather, or if it's like really, really hot weather where you're so sweaty that you can't really grip the ball. That just getting a little tackiness on your fingers that you have a grip, and I think that's pretty accepted from everybody.
So you had a problem with the amount, not the fact that he had it?
Yeah, I didn't really have a problem either way. If one team doesn't, it's tough to check because your own guys. Then it becomes like a back and forth. I do think that was so much and so out in the open that you kind of got to go, hey, come on, that's a little too much.
I'm just amazed that the managers act as if nothing happened last night. Joe Girardi's like, I didn't notice it. I didn't see it. John Farrell goes, I noticed it in the fourth inning. It was gone in the fifth inning. So it seemed like it was so obvious that we're not going to talk about it. And then the umpires can't even go out unless you ask them to go out, right?
I don't know about that, and I could see not being able to see it from John's standpoint. If you don't necessarily see that, from the dugout, or guys aren't seeing that. If you don't get that spot camera on it that I seen last night, I don't know if you actually noticed that much. And I think the umpires, if they would see it, they could do something too. They could actually go out and do something about it.
He's Don Mattingly, the Dodgers manager, joining us, Dan Patrick Show. I guess initially, your thoughts of replay. What do you think of it so far?
Oh, I like it. I think it. That jersey we bet last year.
Yeah.
Over me getting thrown out.
Yeah.
I got a good chance of not ever getting thrown out with the replay system.
Are you making a bet right now, Don, that you will not get thrown out this year?
I'm not betting. There's no betting in baseball.
Okay.
So
a gentleman's agreement. You will not get thrown out of a game this year because I'm going to take the over.
Yeah, I'm not going to.
You're not going to get thrown out?
I told you last year. I think I said I'll never get thrown out again. I wouldn't get thrown out the rest of the year.
Yeah, but don't you want to get thrown out a couple of times on purpose? Doesn't that right?
That's when you're going to get. That's how I'm going to get thrown out is protecting one of your guys who's arguing balls and strikes at home plate and is frustrated that day. That's where it's going to happen. But let's go. I'll go back to replay.
Okay.
I actually like it because I think that it's quick, and by the time I get out there, I can look back and everybody's working together. and they can say, he got it right or you got it wrong. And then the decisions are the ones that you make before the seventh for me that are the gray area calls. That maybe they'll overturn it and maybe they won't. We know there's one in the middle there that's got to be clear and convincing. And sometimes you just got to roll the dice and say, you know what, it's worth it. It's worth the challenge here. Maybe they'll turn this one over. So I like it. I think it's quick. I think the technology is good. I think it'll get even better. And as everybody gets used to it, I think it's going to speed up the game a little bit.
The Yasiel Puig stories and having to deal with that on a day-to-day basis, or how much do you deal with that on a day-to-day basis? Whether it's questions, whether it's Yasiel Puig, in inner office stuff. Give us an idea of how much you're spending time on that.
Yasiel himself, not near as much as everybody, kind of makes it out to be. So, just him with something going on, not really that much. With the questions, obviously every day in some form about Yasiel, and within house, really very little also, unless something comes up. So, what I kind of try to tell everybody, Dan. I mean, I know there's been things that go on, but on a daily basis, this guy's a pretty good kid, and he really is. And I don't think people want to believe that. Now, he does some things that are frustrating, but I don't think he's ever malicious with them. You know what I mean? When he does things, it's not really malicious. It's just him being, still a little bit immature. So I like the kid. He's a good kid.
Oh, and that's what I said, that he's maturing right in front of us, and not many guys do that, or we allow them to do that. People said, "Oh, you keep criticizing him." I said, "I'm only criticizing him on the field because I think he's got to learn to play the game the right way. The off the field stuff, I don't know everything about that. I see on the field, I can comment on that. He just seems like he's not making smart baseball plays, and I don't know if that's maturity or just recklessness."
And that's just some things, because last year it was the cutoff mainly, really, and some of the base running. I'm telling you, there may have been one incident all from spring training on where he's actually really missed a cutoff man. Most of the other ones have been spot on, and this kid is playing some kind of right field. He makes some throws and plays that you kind of go, wow, nobody makes those. And so that part is really matured. The base running part has still been a little bit rough, but you know what? We think that's going to get better. I asked him a question this spring, and this gives you a good insight, I think, into who he wants to be, not necessarily who he is right now. I said, Yasiel, how do you want people to talk about you when you're done playing? How do you want people to kind of say, hey, this is Yasiel Puig, how do you want them to talk about you? And he says, just like they're talking about Derek Jeter right now, because it was during that period he just announced his retirement. And that told me a lot. This kid wants to be great, and he wants people to say good things about him. Nobody wants you to sit there and take criticism all the time. Now, how he's getting there, I don't think, that part of it, like you said, he's maturing right in front of us. And I think it's going to get better and better.
Do you think the media's out to get him, though, sometimes, Donnie?
I can't say out to get him, but I think a little rough on him.
Yeah.
Dan, there was an incident last year in San Francisco. This is when it started. He was like the darling. Everybody loved him. And him and Pedro Pedro Gomez. I don't know what happened, but they both ended up in my office and talking back and forth in Spanish with the guy there. And ever since then, it hasn't been near as it went. They kind of turned on him. So I think a little bit unfair, but some of the stuff I will say he brings on himself. He won't talk at certain times, and that never works. That always goes bad. But again, I think a little bit unfair.
Before I let you go, with Derek Jeter, you mentioned you two didn't cross paths there. When you first saw Jeter, if I would have said that guy right there will be one of the greatest players of all time, you would have said what?
My first time, I'd have said what, because I had the fortune, and it would have been, if I would have been able to make that call at that point, I'd have been really, really, I'd have to really pat myself on the back right now, but I can't. It was spring training. It was him about probably 5-6 months removed from high school. Part of his deal was he came to spring training every year, right out of high school. And he looked like a skinny little, just out of place kid at that time. And you kind of go, wow, that doesn't look right. But then a year later, it was a little better. And then a year later, you go, ooh, that's starting to look like it. It's starting to look pretty good. So he turned it quick. But at first, he looked like he was 150 pounds and skinny and gangly. You know, that frame on 100, it looked like about 150. I'm sure it wasn't. But at that point, he didn't look that great. But that just tells you how, to me, the greatness is how quick he learned things and picked things up.
Always good to visit with you. Good luck against the Diamondbacks. Thanks for joining us.
All right, Dan.
Hi, buddy. Thank you. Don Mattingly. Not going to get thrown out of a game.